All right, y'all, welcome back to another video here. It is Monday morning when you guys will be checking this out. It'll be Monday, hopefully noon. Hopefully I can keep my schedule and get it out for you guys at Monday at noon. But I just want to wish you guys a happy Monday. Hope you guys are having a great day at work. And if you're not, you're halfway through the day, so just stick it out. You're almost there. Then you can go home and work on something, turn some wrenches, or just hang out, watch some YouTube, watch some TV, do whatever you got to do. But you're almost there. You're halfway through. Behind me, we got good old trusty 50 chance, and this video is kind of going to be just like a quick little overview. You guys have been super helpful on the build, and I got a couple more questions that I got to ask you guys, and I want to talk to you guys about some of the stuff that we've done already and what's going to happen moving forward. So, first off, we got the QA1 suspension on the front end, almost all the way on this other side here. I just need to put the bolt through there. So it was, everything went on super great, but I'm a coilover guy. So for those of you guys that don't know coilovers, let me set the camera down and I'll show you. I'm like a true coilover guy, like where it's got a double eyelet. So what happens is when you get this coilover here, it comes with these two components. This is pretty much, depending on how you put the spring, depending on how you put the shock, either, you know, you can mount them this way or this way. It doesn't matter. It's going to do the same thing. Some people think that if you flip it upside down, it switches compression and rebound. It does not. It's the same. You just got to know on mod shocks, it's super easy because you got an R and a C for compression and rebound, so you can't really ever mess that up. But what happens when you get one of these is you throw your adjuster on here, and this will control your ride height. Combination of things can control it depending on what spring you use. If you're using a tender coil, if you have an adjustable shock bracket on the rear end, you can, opportunities are endless with this guy here. So you put that on there, and then the top of the spring is held on by this. So it's all nice and dandy. Sometimes it's a pain in the ass to get it on there if you do have to compress the spring to get on here, so it could be a two-person job, but once it's on there, it's super easy. If you're putting it on the rear end, you just extend the rear end until both eyelets line up with their appropriate brackets, and then you throw a bolt through it and you're done. But factory front suspension, not always the same thing. So what we have going on in the factory front suspension has that adjuster on the bottom here, and then it's got a stud up top that goes through the frame. So this is like factory replacement stuff. Like bolts right in where the factory shock did, and then depending on what you got with your lower control arm, you could either, like I said before, you could run the T-bar and run it with the factory shock, or you can just bolt it through like this. So this is a 300-pound spring. Spring rate for the front really depends on, like, if you're just running aluminum block, iron block, you're running no prep or radial stuff. Like on the no prep stuff, we've run like a super soft spring and get it almost in coil bind, so it's got a bunch of stored energy. I'm running an iron block on this. I'm gonna put the radiator in the bed, turbos up front, so I'm hoping a 300-pound spring will do it. I saw a couple people like, man, you're gonna need that like 400-pound spring. I don't know how anyone gets a spring any heavier than a 300-pound spring in there. It was tough. It was tough. There's a couple battle scars on, not on this one, on the other shock, there's a couple battle scars, all right? So whoever wins it, if there's like a little nick in the anodizing, I'm sorry. I'm just being transparent with you, not gonna lie to you. It got a little rough over there. It's about 117,000 degrees in here, and it was whooping our tail. So we just kept at it until we got it. So we got this side on, but really that was the hardest part, was just getting the spring in there, because you have to compress the spring enough to get the stud to stick through up top, and then you put the nut and the lock washer on it, or sorry, the nut and the lock nut on it, and then you're good. Then you can like drop the lower control arm, but it's got some spring pressure behind it. But these are absolutely sick. We're gonna remote mount these canisters on the inside of the frame over here, and our range of motion is going to be absolutely awesome. Like I'm stoked about this. One thing that we did talk about that you guys were super helpful about was factory brakes or race brakes. So I read all the comments. There was a few people that were like, hey, you need to run the race brakes. They save like 35 pounds or more off the nose. And I'm like, you got a good point. But this is where my head's at. So factory spindle, we got the factory setup right here. I think for the time being, until we get the car on the ground, the best decision that we can make is to put the factory brakes back on it. upgrade the pads and rotors. We'll even wait to upgrade the pads and rotors until we're ready to really get the truck on the road. If we can't get the ride height that we want, I'll order a drop spindle. And a lot of times those drop, I don't know on the F-body stuff, but I know like on the, I don't know on the like the G-body S10 stuff, but I know on the F-bodies, if you run a drop spindle, you have to run a different brake. So it would be really stupid of me to order race brakes for this, where you have to like modify the factory spindle to make the brakes work, and then I can't get the ride height that I want. I have to order a drop spindle, and then the brakes don't work on the drop spindle. So if you guys know if the brakes are completely compatible from like the factory spindle to a drop spindle, then that kind of changes things. But I don't think there's any need to rush right now and get it, because we're not going to be using the brakes this week. We're not driving it. So it really doesn't matter. We can kind of wait and hold off on that. Throw the factory components back on there just so we could roll it around. But I don't think we're going to have to roll it around much. We'll probably have to roll it off the lift to put the cage in it, which is going to be coming up next. And then we'll put it back on the lift and get the rear end and everything in there. So that's kind of where my head's at. I'm not opposed to going with the race brakes, but I don't want to buy the wrong race brakes, if that makes sense. You guys can see what I'm talking about. I'll be honest with you, right now, QA1 is making some really, really, really good stuff. So from me to you, my unbiased opinion, I think QA1's I think they're doing a great job. Their control arms are absolutely sweet. The shocks are absolutely sweet. When you order something from them, it comes 100% complete with all the hardware and components that you need. I don't know what else you could ask for. The only thing that the QA1 could do a little bit better is if they sent someone down here to install it for me. That's it. All right, so we got the brakes in the front end figured out. We have the transmission and torque converter flex plate figured out. Waiting on motor mounts. They should be here, I'm hoping today, and then we could really get throwing some stuff in the truck and get rocking and rolling. What I'm gonna do today after I upload this video is I'm gonna rip the fuel tank out of this, the spare tire out of this. I'm gonna leave the rear end in it in case we have to roll it around, but all these fuel lines and brake lines and whatever stuff, e-brake cables and everything, I'm gonna cut all that stuff out so there's like nothing underneath here. Also, I painted the front end black. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Just I mean, listen, just want it to look a little bit cleaner. No rusty stuff. I think it came out all right. You know, I'm not a painter by any means, but I think she looks decent. You know, I'm gonna drive it. I'm gonna think it looks good. So we're really coming along here with 50 Chance, and everything is, I'd say, we're moving great. Once we get the parts, the hardest thing is just waiting on parts. Once we get the other parts in, we'll be rocking around. Oh, a huge part of the turbo kit I want to talk to you guys about real quick. We're doing a 88 millimeter TDI turbo on this truck. It's a badass unit from Force Inductions, upgraded wheel, just absolutely sick. Very similar to what Justin Swanstrom ran, but I think Jose is going to do a couple upgrades to it. So, you know, Justin went 480s with a TKM power plant with it. I think that we can do the same and drive it around the street. We're going to have our cake and eat it too. But one thing that's very important is your turbo flange. I found out over the years, especially after building my first turbo kit, that having a badass turbo flange is super helpful. And one like this is great. Now this one here is from Parker Speed, so big shout out to everyone over at Parker Speed for hooking it up. They sent us this. This one is a T6 flange, and it is 2.5 inch inlet. So before I was doing everything 3 inch inlet, but I'm running a lot bigger motors, 460 cubic inch, well not that's a blower motor, 427 cubic inch pretty much across the board, 416 cubic inch. So they all have 3 inch hot side. This thing right here, I think being a little bit smaller motor, we're gonna be, you know, 5.3 really, pretty much, might be a 383, depending on what route we go. Having that little bit smaller diameter, I think is really gonna help in many different aspects. Your air velocity is going to be much higher. Hopefully the turbo will spool up a little bit quicker. But this thing is absolutely sweet. If you could see, it's got the little recess in there. So when you're doing the fabrication of this, you get your 2.5 inch tubing and you put it in there. It has a recess, and then you weld around it, or you can even get it from the inside, like on some parts. But it's just absolutely this thing is really sweet. Comes with all the hardware. This is like, if you guys haven't noticed, this is my big thing if it comes complete. So you got all your studs, you got all your nuts and everything. Big shout out to Parker Speed. Thank you so much for helping out with this 50 Chance build. And like I said, we got all these companies coming on board and really making this thing, taking this truck to a whole nother level. And I'm stoked about it because it just gets you guys a better vehicle at the end. You know, it solves it serves multiple purposes because we get to talk about these awesome products, showcase these awesome products, and then go out and show you guys how fast we can go in the real world, like from the box, put it on the car, go race it. This is what that part does, and then you guys have the opportunity to win it. And it's just, I think what we got going on right now, especially with this truck, is absolutely sick. I mean, I'm super stoked about it, so I couldn't be any happier. We're going to be running Holley Terminator. I think we're going to run that input-output module. We're going to get some low-dollar motorsports sensors on there. Like, this thing is going to be top-notch stuff right here, so I can't wait. What else we got to talk about this thing? I'm trying to do this Monday morning video before I really start, like, getting hammered with a bunch of work. I got to go some places, drop some stuff off, and do all that stuff, so just kind of a little Monday morning update video for you. Other than that, oh, seats. What do you guys want to run for seats? I was just going to go with the standard 17-inch hip width, which is like the go-to. It's what every time you see a Kirky seat, generally they're 17-inch hip width. I was going to run 2 Kirky seats, 2 Kirky seat covers. They're comfortable. They're good for, you know, driving around on the street. They don't kill you, but they're safe enough at the track where you run your harnesses and everything like that. We're going to run some impact harnesses, which I think are awesome. Harnesses driver and passenger side. So if you guys have a different seat, not really looking to put a race tech seat in this thing. Budget, it is just out of budget. You're talking about a $130 seat compared to a $1,500 seat. They're just not in some real fast race stuff. Yes, but in this, no. I mean, this thing is going to go hopefully, you know, 490s, which is fast, but compared to a 390, you could say it's slow. Also, one thing I want to talk about is the cage here. We're not putting a driver containment funny car style cage in this truck. Something that you drive around on the street, I feel like it's extremely dangerous to have that. If you get in a wreck, if you get T-boned at an intersection and you bang your head off it, like, that's done. You're not wearing a helmet. It's very safe when you have a helmet on, but when you don't have a helmet, it's very unsafe. So then you can get into putting some high-dollar padding on it, but still, you're still going to bang your head. Where now, you'll have as much headroom as you need, especially if someone wins it and gets a real big head, you know, because they're like, man, I got this badass truck. They won't have any issues fitting in there. So, yeah, just got some axles ordered up from Strange, third member ordered up from Strange, yoke for the transmission ordered up from Strange. We're going to have to get a measurement and then get the drive shaft ordered up. But, yeah, we're moving and grooving. So once the cage goes in there and the motor's in, we're going to knock the turbo kit out, mount the radiator, and then it's just connect the dots, and we'll be rocking and rolling. So I'd say if we get another, 3-4 weeks on this, with, I think 2 solid weeks of work, we can really have it rolling, looking good. Just waiting on parts of this thing. I'm gonna have to order wheels soon, so once I get the rear end in there and get some measurements, we'll get some back spacing dialed in, and then we'll talk about what you guys want to run as far as wheel and tire. Definitely gonna run that 275 Radial Pro for just driving around on the street and going to the track, because I think you can't beat that. Driving around on a slick does not feel good, just like cruising around and you tear them up. So yeah, that's the game plan on 50 Chance. I hope you guys are excited. The giveaway has not started yet for those of you guys that are asking how to get entered. We'll have all the information once we get this thing up and running and race it a little bit, and then we'll publicly announce, hey, we're going to start the 50 Chance giveaway. So results, I'm waiting on the results for the turbo giveaway, and then we'll get that thing gone here very shortly. So thank you guys for watching. It's Monday morning. Get excited. I'm going to knock this video out, get it out for you guys for lunch, and get to work, film another one. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Don't forget, comment, like, and if you enjoy the videos, please subscribe, because I appreciate you. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in tomorrow's upload.
He get to buy this round. John Doc got to buy this round. The black sheep on the property. He got to buy for the next round. 15